What if I told you that just 3 days without sleep could cause you to see things that aren't there? And
the longest I haven't slept is like 36 hours, 37 hours. And I was just dazed with tired time. It's like, every time someone would talk to me, I'm like, huh? I don't know what happened. I think I was playing games or something like that.
5 days could mimic a full-blown psychosis. Sleep deprivation isn't just about being tired. It's about your brain breaking down in ways that are both fascinating.
Is it true that if you don't get a lot of sleep, your brain disappears? Or your brain eats your brain? Or your nerve endings die? I don't know. Your brain eating your own brain. It's strange.
Fascinating and terrifying. In this video, I'll take you through what happens to your brain hour by hour when you deprive it of sleep, based on a systematic review of sleep deprivation studies. What happens at 24 hours, 72 hours, and after 5 days? And is there a way back? Welcome to Psychiatry Simplified.
If you don't sleep for 5 days, you'll probably be sleeping about 24 hours.
I'm Dr. Sunil Rege, consultant psychiatrist. This is the channel where we cover all things neuroscience, psychiatry, and mental health related. So if that's your thing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay in touch with all our future videos. Most of us have pulled an all-nighter at some point in our life, whether for work, study, or just...
Yeah, you want to go sleep, but you don't want to. Like me, I want to play Battlefield 6 all day, but I can't. Me personally, after about 14 hours, 15 hours, I want to go to bed. Like, my bed's over there, about 10 feet away from me. But my brain's like, no, keep playing. Fuck your brain up even more.
Or planning. At the 24-hour mark, you might feel irritable or anxious. This is because the brain's emotional center, or also known as the threat center at times, the amygdala, goes into overdrive, while your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for...
I do want to sleep 7 hours, but I sleep around 10 hours. I set an alarm, but no. Like, I'm half asleep when my alarm goes off now. Ages ago, I used to turn it off and I'm awake. It's like another person in your brain says, no, you're going to sleep now.
Making, including emotional regulation, is running on fumes. The systematic review by Waters in 2018 showed that this early stage is marked by heightened emotional reactivity, reduced concentration, and slowed reaction times. It's the neurological equivalent of putting your brain in...
I'm not bad. Just have less reaction time on games. That's my excuse.
...fight or flight mode without a way to turn it off. Even at this stage, the lack of sleep starts to interfere with the thalamus, the relay station for sensory information. And this is why your focus falters and you begin to feel like time is dragging on. Stage 2, 48 hours without sleep. By the second night without sleep, the brain begins to lose its grip on reality. Visual distortions, called metamorphopsias, are common. These include seeing objects...
Could this happen every time you don't sleep? Or is it with age? Where you don't sleep for when you're about 50 years old, you see shit. Like, if something's moving, I'm not paying attention to it probably. That doesn't make sense, does it?
...is larger or smaller than they are. Shadows appearing to move or colors seeming to change. In one study, participants described stationary objects as vibrating or bending, as if the world itself was becoming unstable. Why does this happen? The occipital cortex, which processes visual information, starts to falter due to energy depletion. The brain, starved of its usual input, begins to fill in the gaps with its own creations, essentially fabricating reality. Mood changes intensify here as well. Anxiety often gives way to apathy or aggression, and the disconnection from time becomes more pronounced.
I get frustrated, I don't get angry if I don't get a lot of sleep. If it's with games, I don't want to break anything. So I'm like, might squeeze my controller a little. What's makes it?
One person put it, time felt like a hodgepodge. I couldn't tell whether minutes or hours had passed. Enter stage 3, 72 hours without sleep. After 3 days, the line between perception and imagination starts to blur completely. hallucinations become vivid and frequent. Visual hallucinations like seeing faces or objects that don't exist are the most common. But auditory and tactile hallucinations also appear, such as hearing your name being called out. Or
I get that now. Like I'm making coffee, and it sounds like my mum shouting Liam somewhere. It could be a mimic, or my brain's being a twat today. I don't know.
feeling someone tapping your shoulder when no one else is there. This progression is striking. The systematic review showed that by this stage, 90% of participants in extreme sleep deprivation experiments reported visual disturbances. What's fascinating is how the brain adapts. At first, participants are skeptical of what they're seeing, but as the hours stretch on, they begin to accept these hallucinations as real. This is a key turning point, what we call a loss of reality testing. Stage 4, 120 hours without sleep. After 5 days, the brain's ability to function deteriorates rapidly. Thought disorder sets in, speech becomes nonsensical, and paranoia can take over. One study documented a participant who believed that they were on a secret mission for the government, while another became convinced their colleagues were conspiring against them. At this point, the clinical picture is indistinguishable from acute psychosis or toxic delirium. What's happening neuroscientifically? Key areas like the prefrontal cortex and thalamus are essentially shutting down. Meanwhile, dopamine, a neurotransmitter critical for reward and perception, goes into overdrive, further fueling delusions and hallucinations. We know that dopaminergic dysregulation plays an important role in illnesses such as schizophrenia or psychosis in general. Aggression and fear often dominate here. The big question, can sleep reverse this? Here's the silver lining. For most participants,
Yeah, how much sleep would you get if you didn't sleep for 120 hours? Probably about 24 hours. 24 hours. I'm sticking at that.
symptoms resolve after restorative sleep. Studies suggest that about half the total time spent awake is needed for recovery. So if you've been awake for 100 hours, you'll need at least 50 hours of
I was close.
sleep to feel normal again. However, not everyone recovers fully. Some participants, especially those with pre-existing vulnerabilities, reported lingering symptoms like confusion and emotional instability for days or even weeks afterward. This aligns with the vulnerability stress model, which suggests that certain individuals are more susceptible to the effects of extreme stresses like sleep deprivation. Neurobiologically, we know that even 2 hours of sleep deprivation significantly increases amygdala noradrenergic tone. And we know that excessive noradrenergic activity weakens the prefrontal cortex due to excessive alpha-1 receptor activation. If you're a clinician looking to enhance your knowledge
How much sleep do you have to have then? I don't know why I fucking started this fucking conversation.
about sleep and its application to clinical practice, then you can visit the comprehensive courses that we have on Precision Sleep Medicine by Dr. David Cunnington, a sleep physician, and the neuropsychiatry of sleep and its application to clinical practice here. So what's the takeaway? Sleep is not just a luxury. It's a biological necessity. When we deprive ourselves of it, the consequences go far beyond just fatigue, striking at the very core of how we perceive.
But it would show you would die though. If you didn't have sleep for about a week, you would die. That's mad to me. But you need sleep to live as well. And food, obviously.
And process reality. Linking to sleep deprivation, I know that there have been several comments on this video on methamphetamine, particularly linking to psychosis, where several individuals have talked about how sleep deprivation acts as a significant risk factor for the development of psychosis. So what's the longest you've gone without sleep? Did you notice any changes in your mood or perception?
No, I was just a zombie most of the time. If I walk down the street, I would say, it's a zombie.